Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Joe Jordan Love, here with your AEW Dynamite review for August 24th, 2021. It is officially August AEW Dynamite time, but back in AEW Dynamite was back in Jacksonville, homecoming. Um, you know, it was an okay show. Obviously, it was built around the labor, third labor of Jericho, Chris Jericho for Juventud, along with Malachi Black's in ring debut on Dynamite, first Cody Rhodes. That was the main event in what statement for a debut. Not much what you can say, but that was just a hell of a debut. Hell of a debut. The way, I mean, so it's August right now. So Black has only been on the show for a month. It's only been on AEW for a month and already has been booked better than all throughout his main roster time on WWE. I mean, it just shows you what real booking so far in talent. And we'll go over all that. But thank you for joining me uh, on the podcast today. If you're new, if you want to see more of my videos as far as pro wrestling reviews as well as sports review topics, click the subscribe. As well as if you like this video, be sure to click that like button as well. Be good for the episode as well as the channel if you want to see more. But now let's get into the show, shall we? So the show started off with Chris Jericho versus Juventud Guerrera, the third labor of Jericho. Now, in order for MJF or for Chris Jericho to get to MJF precisely, this match was so last week against Nick Gage. It was a train wreck. It was a car wreck, whichever you want to say, but it was right for a labor of Jericho. In this case, against Juventud, it wasn't as much you expect a labor to be. Now, obviously, Jericho and Juventud have history, and the stipulation Jericho has to win with a move from the top rope. So that was put into place so that this match felt. Now, was part of it was probably the withdrawal of the car wreck that was the main event last week. And now this match just felt night day. I mean, you go from facing Nick Gage in a no rules match to now Juventud. And for whatever reason, this match just didn't flow well. It was okay, but now this was obviously Juventud's first night on Dynamite, but it just did not flow very well. So, and plus it was strange um, taking notes for this match because, well, the stipulation, you know, Jericho can only win from moves from top rope. So he got diving crossbody for a near fall, uh, then diving axe handle, and he tried ripping his mask, but to no avail. And it looked like Juventud was going for a top rope hurricanrana, but slipped, missed timing. So Jericho then locked in the walls of Jericho, the lion tamer off the top rope. And because it was off the top rope, Aubrey Edwards counted it. But so then Jericho went for a backbreaker and then went for near fall or went for pinfall. But Aubrey Edwards, calling it like it is, can't win regularly. He has to be a move off the top rope. So MJF again was on commentary and only 25 years old, and he's just great at commentary. He definitely has a career for himself once he is finished uh, in ring, and can definitely be a commentator when he finishes his in ring career. But nonetheless, Juventud hit the Hoovy driver for a near fall. Jericho went for a Juice effect and got it, but he had to go up top to get the win. So he went to the top rope and hit a diving top rope Juice effect from the top rope on Juventud and got the win. Although it was short lived because afterwards, Wardlow, he came down, attacked Jericho, and gave the F10 to Juventud. Then JF announced that next week, the fourth labor of Jericho will be Chris Jericho versus Wardlow, and MJF will be at ringside. Will he be the special guest referee? Perhaps. Or will he just be in the corner? Like, either way, these labors of Jericho have felt kind of a. I mean, the first two labors felt understandable and reasonable because, you know, Jericho first Sean Spears started off in a chairs, or Spears could use a chair, but Jericho could not. Then, of course, last week against Nick Gage, that was an absolute labor. Now, last night against Juventud and next week for Wardlow, I mean, just feels very. Kind of feels like a drop from the first two labors to now. But, I mean, people have different opinions on it. But nonetheless, we know who's going to win. And we know that Chris Jericho and MJF is likely going to happen all out. And what should be a fun match. So, there's that. So then we go to the Lucha Brothers. They were confronted by Andrade and Chavo backstage again. Miscommunication and traveling, and Andrade and Chavo tried to get a thank you from the Lucha Brothers from the incident last week, and again tried to recruit the Lucha Brothers. So then we had Daniel Garcia and 2.0 which, for those who don't know or those who haven't seen it, Everrise, the former Everrise of NXT, Matt Lee, and Trey Parker, or John Parker, whatever the name is, sorry. But, so, that tag team from NXT here in this spot, which totally unexpected. So, they face Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston, and Darby Allin. I mean, talk about a change of scenery. I mean, on NXT, they've been doing comedy stuff, or they were doing comedy stuff. They've been jobbing to numerous tag teams, and here tonight or last night for AEW, they're in a spot against three of the top guys in AEW: Moxley, Kingston, and Darby Allin. Now, this was a good tag team match for what it was, but I think the shock going into it, and it was kind of crazy, but it was still fun. So ultimately, was a paradigm shift and a coffin drop by Darby after a paradigm shift from Moxley for the win. And, you know, I'm not sure if Everrise they've been signed to AEW or if this is a one-off, but talk about a heck of a spot for your AEW debut, and it's here against Moxley, Kingston, and Darby after what you've been doing in NXT. Just heck of a introduction, I would say. So then we had the Elite. They were backstage, so they were shooting hoops, surrounded by a hoop. Um, Following up last week, uh, I tell you, this was a strange but silly segment. So, Kenny Omega, he was wearing a Cookie Monster t-shirt, aka CM, and CM Punk, you know the little innuendos, Easter eggs of preluding to his eventual arrival in AEW. And Gallows, he was wearing some flashy uh, robe, and some were thinking maybe that's a Ric Flair innuendo. Uh, the Young Bucks were just being ridiculous. It was funny. So Gallows and Anderson, they announced that next week they will face the Dark Order, Stu Grayson, and Evil Uno for their Impact Tag Team titles. So I'm up for that in Pittsburgh. Then the Young Bucks said that there's no one left for them in the tag division and that they're ready to get their jerseys hung up and retired uh, in the Raptors. So then, as a celebration, they had Brendan Cutler cut down the net of the basketball hoop. And Tony Schiavone said there's a lot to unpack there. And yeah, you can definitely say. Um, Not sure what to say. We did get a segment later in the show with Hangman and the Elite. Perhaps we may still get Hangman versus Omega All Out. I'm not sure, but the other question is, what will we do with the Young Bucks? Because FTR won last week for Santana Ortiz. So I'm assuming there's going to be a rematch between those two teams at All Out. And the Elite won last week as well. So who the Bucks and who can he face at All Out? That is definitely a question. But we'll see. With the Forbidden Door, with New Japan, with CM Punk and Daniel Bryan being signed, you know, I mean, he's not going to come in and face Omega off the bat, but also with the news of Adam Cole probably coming to AEW to join his Bay and Britt Baker. That's definitely an interesting possibility as well. I mean, we'll probably get this match if, assuming he signs, uh, and the rumors are true, but getting a little help ahead of myself, but that is definitely an interesting possibility. But, someone from Impact, someone from NWA, there's so good possibilities to see who Omega faces All Out. So then we got Christian Cage versus Blade. This was okay. I love Christian Cage. Been a fan of his ever since WWE. And, you know, I always felt that he was one of the most underutilized talents there during his time. And, in Impact, obviously, we know he was treated better. And his introduction to AEW has been, you know, at Revolution, it was botched how he was introduced. And hear how he is with the way they're trying to portray him. I mean, it was an okay match with Blade, obviously, stemming from last week, being knocked out by him. But, so, Cage wins with a spear, 1, 2, 3, simple as that. So, he was announced to be the number one contender now for the AEW World Championship. So, I'm just curious to see where it's going to be because I don't think it's going to be All Out. Um, you know, where the direction of Christian Cage is going to be, we'll see. But, I mean, it's just kind of floating, and we'll see. So then we had everybody's favorite doctor, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. So she came out, interviewed by Tony Schiavone to address the crowd at Jacksonville, talking about how when she won the AEW Women's Championship at Double or Nothing, it was in Jacksonville. Now next week it'll be back at her home of Pittsburgh uh, for Rampage and Dynamite. So then she was confronted by Red Velvet, and they talked up her winning streak and note that next week are on the debut episode of Rampage on the 13th. It'll be Red Velvet versus Britt Baker for the AEW Women's Championship. Should be an interesting match. Red Velvet, she's one of those who has improved mightily since she's been in AEW. Now she's coming along, and against Britt Baker, look, that Nyla Rose match put a sour taste in all of our mouths for Britt Baker's first opponent. Now, against Red Velvet, they can definitely put together a better match than it was with Nyla Rose, and perhaps Thunder Rosa. We get something with her after, and then we get building towards that match out. We'll see. So when we got the Redeemer, Miro, versus Lee Johnson for the TNT Championship. So now Lee Johnson, we know he wasn't going to win this match, but he still had a good showing. Miro, each week that has come, he has looked better and better. Excuse me. Especially from the way he was brought in to AEW to now. And you can't help but admire how well that he's been booked, and the way he's being built properly since WWE. But it was a good match. Johnson hit a super kick, followed up with a frog splash for a near fall. Lee Johnson hit a flurry of super kicks, but then ultimately he was caught up by a Machka kick from Miro, followed up with the game over, and thus Miro retains. Miro still looks strong. Before Christian Cage was announced to be the number one contender for the AEW World title, there were rumblings, and you could per se could said that Christian versus Miro would be a solid match for TNT Championship out all out. Now that's not the case. So I am curious to see what Miro does. LL, but he has looked strong and mightily so. So then they announced the commentary team for AEW Rampage, which of course is debuting on August 13th. So it will be Excalibur, Chris Jericho, Mark Henry, who is going to be an analyst for Rampage, and Taz. So I'm guessing that it'll be a three-man booth, and with between Excalibur, Chris Jericho, and Taz, and that we get an interview like analyst from Mark Henry. You know, he does what Alex Morvez does, or kind of like what Chris Van Fleet used to do for AEW, so or Dasha Gonzalez. So that's a thought. So then we got the bunny for Slayla Hirsch. So they announced that it was scheduled to be Camille versus Serena Deeb, a rematch for the NWA Women's Championship. But unfortunately, Serena Deeb got hurt again. So hope she heals quick ASAP because she is one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. And I mean, she's gotten pillared with injuries numerously the last few years. So just hope that she gets back from this new injury ASAP. But so this match was made to determine a new contender for Camille's NWA Women's Championship. Now, we know that NWA Power is going to have a all women's event at the end of the month, and I'm curious if this match will happen there. I'm not sure, but it's definitely an idea because I know that AEW and Impact Women will also be involved at the NWA event. So we'll see. But this is okay. I mean, Bundy, she had a death belt driver for a near fall. Uh, Hirsch, she missed a top rope moonsault, but won with a cross arm breaker. And the Bundy tapped out. So it'll be legit Layla Hirsch versus Camille, who is at ringside. And oh my god, like the size difference was, jeez. I mean, I can tell if this was, say, Kane and Rey Mysterio, or say something else. But as far as that nature of height, but I mean, Camille, I haven't actually seen her wrestle. I mean, I've heard about her in NWA. She is she is big and she is very athletic, and the stare down with Leila Hirsch, and Leila Hirsch is small. She was like, geez, she was barely below Camille's chest, and geez, I mean, I don't think we'll get this match on Dynamite, but we'll see. Um, but yeah, that size difference amazed me per se. So we got the main event, and boy, was this interesting. So we got Malachi Black's first match in AEW versus Cody Rhodes. Now, we know that Cody Rhodes and they signed a new deal to promote another season of the Go Big Show, in which Cody Rhodes will be on. So we know that we had a feeling where this match would be going, especially considering this is Black's debut. Still, this was quite stunning, per se. So, and I know that people have been dimming on Cody because of the way he's been winning so much the last few months, but this match definitely helped his stock a little bit as far as that aspect goes. And Black, he looks great for, you know, being out of the ring for a while. They didn't use him in WWE, obviously. No, last time we saw him, he cost Big E. As far as WWE is concerned, he returned, cost Big E the Intercontinental Championship, and left. And then he was released. And then he showed up, obviously, on Road Rager uh, in the last few weeks, attacking Cody. This match was short, but it was sweet. You know, so Black came out. It was a playoff of his entrance in NXT and WWE. So it's dark. You know, the Titantron played great feature. You know, they showed the silhouette of Black coming out of the tunnel, which was a great idea. So they showed him, and then they cut away all Black. Then next thing you know, they show him on the top rope, and you can kind of see it. He's wearing a hoodie with some, like, I would say, almost for you Mortal Kombat fans, a Shao Kahn like mask, which was very cool. And then his signature sit down in the ring, he took off the mask, and man, you can see he looked great. Um, he was kind of soaking it in, I would say. So then, after the cut away from break, Cody's entrance, so he came out. Again, beautiful attention to detail. Cody was wearing white and Black was wearing black. So that's besides Cody's tattoo, neck tattoo, which is still weird to look at, but it is what it is. So it was still an interesting match for the length that it went. So Black, he was targeting the leg of Cody. He hit a roundhouse kick to his leg while they were exchanging against the ropes. And then Black targeted the leg of Cody, went for a knee bar, was countered into a figure four, gouged the eyes of Cody, went for a half crab on Cody's leg, and then they exchanged strikes. Cody went for a crossroads quick, but caught a knee to the face. So so Cody was on the top rope, and then Black hit a knee strike to Cody's head, which knocked him off the top rope through the timekeeper's table. And then, so Cody was down. He gingerly got back up. Obviously, he was favoring his knee as well. So he got back into the ring. Black allowed him to get back in the ring. And then Black was measuring Cody. And Cody turned around, and just like that, Black mass, roundhouse kick to Cody's face. 1, 2, 3. Black drapes his foot on top of Cody for the win. Black and Maya fashion. What an in-ring debut. I mean, when Cody faced Brody Lee, kind of similar because, except this wasn't Brody's debut. This was Black's debut. And of course, with the fans also as well, provided a shock and awe aspect. Because I think the majority knew that Black was going to win this. But you just didn't know how. And this was surprising. Just shows you how Cody is willing, when he has to, put a guy over. And that is exactly what happened for Malaki Black here. Jim Ross said it best. What did we just see? What did we just see on commentary? And I couldn't agree more. So Black then walked off up the tunnel, laughed at his efforts. So then trainers and James Sampson, the doctor, he helped Cody back up to his feet, or helped Cody sit up. Cody trying to process what had happened. So Tony Schiavone got into the ring and tried to get a word in with Cody. And Cody, trying to catch his breath, trying to comprehend what had just happened. Because it was short and sweet. So Cody announced that he's been proud of AEW. He said he loves Tony Schiavone as well. They said something. So Cody thanked the audience. He thanked everyone. He thanked Jacksonville for what it's done for the AEW, especially for what happened in the pandemic 2020. So it seemed like, so Cody was thanking the Elite, the EVPs, and then all of a sudden Cody, he takes one of his boots off and puts it in the ring. And of course, for those who know that when you put your boots in the ring, that signals you're calling it quits as far as wrestling is concerned. So Cody took off one of his boots, laid in the ring, laid a kiss to the crowd, and then because someone threw in a crutch to help Cody get up with his knee. So Cody refused the crutch at first, and then all of a sudden, after Cody thanks the crowd, Black nails him in the back with this crutch, and then takes his boot for himself, and then that is how Dynamite goes off the air. Black standing tall with Cody laid out. Now, going back to the match, obviously I said that it was surprising, and JR said best. And now, the post match segment, I mean, I know people probably hinder on it because it's like, oh, Cody taking away from Black's moment, or oh, this or that, but the way I look at it is, well, Cody's going away for a bit to film another season of the Go Big Show. So, and of course, he has his new daughter as well. So, he's probably going to take some time away. But what I also think about it is a rematch is likely going to loom. So, I mean, this isn't goodbye for forever. This is obviously goodbye for now for Cody. And we're likely going to get a rematch of this All Out. So for that, I'd be pumped for. I mean, as far as Black's first match, you can say was a 2 thumbs up. And, not much you can say. I mean, I'm sure many were feeling like I was, where it felt a little too soon for AEW to be back at Jacksonville for all the time that was spent throughout the pandemic and earlier this year, or 2020 and this year. But it was still okay. And now, was it a good show? No, it was okay though. Ultimately, next week with Dynamite and Rampage in Pittsburgh, it's going to be bigger with, Labor 4 of Jericho, etc. We got Red Velvet versus Britt Baker. So, got some stuff to look forward to next week. So, but nonetheless, thank you guys for joining me. That's the review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, click that like button, as well as if you want to see more of my videos, click that subscribe as well. Well, how about the video and the channel if you want to see more? But thank you. I'll see you back on Tuesday with sports topics, as well as next week with, again, 3 episodes next week. Sports topics Tuesday, AEW Dynamite review Thursday, and AEW Rampage review on Saturday. That's all I'll look forward to next week. So, thank you. That's the schedule for you guys going forward. So, again, be safe and peace.